Hi, I'm Casey. I'm your personal trainer today here at the Eastwood Edge location, and I'm going to take you through all of our Kaiser equipment. Our first piece of equipment today is going to be our Kaiser Row. So with the Kaiser Row and all Kaiser equipment, there's a couple things we want to know. On the right side, we have a plus button, which is going to increase our air pressure. On the left side, we always have the minus button to decrease our air pressure. When you're jumping on the machine, know that every machine is set to start at 20 pounds per square inch. That's a PSI of 20. And when you're done on the machines, please reset it back to 20. As we set up for the Kaiser Row, as we sit, we want to make sure we're able to be in about 90 degrees in our thigh. That's going to allow our chest piece to be set at just an arm span away from our machine. Again, knowing we're starting at 20 pounds, we can adjust or increase the weight as needed, focusing on pulling our elbows in towards our ribs, slight pause at the end of the motion, slowly reaching back, repeating for each repetition. As you go through the Kaiser, you'll see the screen in front of you flash two numbers. Number one is going to be your PSI setting. That's your resistance. Number two is going to be the repetitions that you're on. Our next piece of equipment is the Kaiser chest press. With the Kaiser chest press, there's one setting. It's going to be your seat. With the seat setting, what you're adjusting isn't the knee angle or the hip angle. Rather, you're setting your body up so that the handle of the chest press is in line with your armpit before you sit down to go through the exercise. So you can see here, I've got the handle set up just about armpit height. That's going to allow me to get my hands in on the machine in such a way that I'm able to adequately press without shrugging my shoulders up. Again, I've got plus on the right. Left is my decrease, and as I press through a range of motion, my hands travel together. From there, I'm going to slowly control the weight back, get into, again, just about chest height, where I can press away. Our next piece of equipment is the Kaiser Leg Press. When you're getting on the Kaiser, you'll start sitting on the back pad with two pegs for your feet. Start with your feet on the pad. This is going to put you in a position, should you need to adjust the seat, it's a crossbar right in between your legs, that you can push and adjust as needed. From here, as you set up, you want to find your back pad in a position that allows you to get up onto the leg press with about 90 degrees in your knee so that you're able to hold on and press straight out. From here, controlling the weight back in. Our next piece of equipment is the Kaiser overhead press. When you get into the Kaiser overhead press, similar to the chest press, you're adjusting the seat so that your hands can be in an adequate position to start pressing the weight. An adequate position is going to be the handles just above shoulder level. If they fall below shoulder level, you're going to have a hard time getting your hands in underneath. From here, we'll square up, getting our arms in underneath. Right side is the plus to increase the PSI. Left side is the minus. From this position, I'm going to drive the weight straight up, keeping my elbows in directly under my wrist. Slow and control the weight back down to the start position. Again, as we press, we want to make sure we are adjusting any modifications to our resistance in the bottom as we continue through our entire set. Our next piece of equipment is the Kaiser Lat Pulldown. With this seat adjustment, you are adjusting so that your feet and thighs are going to be about 90 degrees with the ground. So to adjust the seat here, what I'm going to do is pull out, lift slightly, and then I'm going to roll the seat down to a lower position so that when I sit, I'm closer to 90 degrees in my lower body. From here, to engage in the weights, I'm going to grab the handles from the top so that I'm able to keep my arms in a safe position. From here, I'm going to sit down, reaching overhead. Again, the right side increases my weight, left side decreases my weight. I'm going to focus on pulling my elbows down in towards my rib cage, stopping as my hands are right at shoulder level, and then reaching tall and letting the weight pull itself back up to the start position. As I finish, what's important to know is you don't want to just let go of the weight. I'm going to let the rep finish at the top, and then I'm going to stand with the weight to complete the exercise. Our next piece of equipment is the Kaiser Leg Extension. This exercise, before you even start, you want to sit on the machine and you want to line the pinpoint of the flywheel with the axis point of your knee. So where I'm sitting right now, my knee is a little ahead of that axis point, so I need to adjust the seat padding backwards to allow me to sit further back on the machine. Off to the side is the silver handle, lift, and I'm going to be able to slide the seat pad back just a little further so that when I get into the machine, now my knees are in line with the knob on the flywheel. From this position, my second adjustment is going to be the angle of my starting knee and shin position. If I'm struggling to get in here or if it's too pinchy on my knees, what I can do is pull and extend and decrease the angle, so that's a little easier of a start point. My third and last adjustment is going to be my shin piece. My shin piece, what I want to make sure, and a general rule of thumb I always tell people, is you want it to be off of your shoes. If the pad is hitting your shoes, you know that the pad is too low and we need to lift it up. Now I'm in a position to start. Holding on to my PSI handles, the right side increases, the left side decreases. I'm going to pull my toes up and extend my legs straight ahead so that I'm at a full range of motion at my knee, making sure that I slowly return back to the start point for the next rep. Our next piece of equipment is our Kaiser seated leg curl. Similar to our leg extension, we want to set up on the machine so that the knob of the flywheel is in line with our kneecap. From this position, it's too low, and I actually need to move my seat forward more so that my knee is in a safe position. Coming to the back side, again, we'll see a silver handle to lift and slide forward so that we're able to be a little higher on the pad. From this position, same rule applies on our second setting. I want to make sure the pad is off of my shoe. And then our last setting here is going to be our thigh position, pulling the pin and dropping the pad down so that it locks our legs in and gives us leverage and tension moving into the exercise. From here, I can adjust right side increases my PSI, left side decreases my PSI. What I want to make sure I'm doing is pulling my toes up, sitting up firm on the bench, squeezing the legs in as we go, as we complete each rep. When we get to the top, make sure we're keeping tension on the machine the entire time, keeping our toes pulled up, thinking about pulling our heels down to the floor. Our next piece of equipment is the Kaiser Triceps. So the Kaiser Triceps, when we adjust the seat, it's to make sure we're in an adequate height so that I can get on top of the handles. It's not necessarily so that our knees are at 90 degrees. It's more so that I'm in a position that doesn't tug on my shoulders as I approach the handles to push the weight down. So if I was too low, my hands would be way too high and would be a very uncomfortable starting position. So as we set up, I want to feel a little high. I'm going to get on top of the weights, and I'm going to use my body weight to push the lever down before we start. So that way, as I return the weight up, I'm able to keep my shoulders in a nice position. So I'm going to do that one more time. I'm going to start standing, put my hands on the tricep lever, use my body weight to push the weight down, so that way I'm able to return to the start position from my seated position. The right side increases the weight, the left side decreases the weight. I'm going to focus on pushing straight down, keeping my shoulders nice and tucked behind me, and as I return the weight to the top, I'm not going to let everything shrug up to my ears. I'm going to really focus on keeping my shoulders back the entire time, extending the arm fully in between each rep. Our next piece of equipment is the Kaiser Ab Crunch. From here, there's one setting, and it's our seat. As you can see when I get in here, it's way too high for me, and my feet aren't able to be flat on the ground. So when I set up, I want to look for this seat to be roughly knee height. If it's roughly knee height, I know that when I sit, I'm going to be able to keep my feet flat on the ground. From here, I'm going to cross over with my right hand coming to the left handle, my left hand coming to the right handle, feet flat on the ground. The pad sits about chest height. From this position, I'm going to take a big inhale. I'm going to exhale as I crunch forward, and I'm going to slowly let the resistance come to the top, where I take another big inhale and exhale as I crunch forward. When I'm done, I finish the rep at the top, and now I'm able to come out of the machine. Our next piece of equipment is the Kaiser back extension. No adjustments on this machine. As we sit, we want to make sure we're crouched down. So we wedge ourselves into the back pad, both feet flat on the floor apparatus. My right hand is on the increase button. My left hand is on the decrease button. I want to make sure I take all the tension out. From here, big inhale, exhale, pushing back with my entire back, not just my upper back. And then I want to slowly control as I return to the start position. Push and extend, and then slow and control back. We don't want to turn this into the ab crunch, making sure we control the weight the entire way through, take the tension off the machine, and then I'm ready to stand up. The last piece on our Kaiser air circuit here in Eastwood is the arm curl. With the arm curl, we have one adjustment on our seat. We want to make sure that pad is knee height. This is going to give me enough space with my torso to make sure my arms can be out in front at an adequate angle that I can reach the handles. If my seat was too high, I would be draped too far over the top, and if my seat was too low, I'd have a hard time reaching down. So again, making sure that the pad is knee height is going to give you a great starting point. From here, the handles just rotate up. I increase on the right, I decrease on the left. I want to push my elbows into the pad, curling my palm up towards my face, slow and control all the way down at the bottom of the rep. So I go into rep 2. When I'm done, I want to lower the weight all the way through, taking tension off, returning the handles to the start.